You're listening to the Leadership and Theology with a Cup of Joe podcast. Welcome to the first ever Leadership and Theology with a Cup of Joe podcast. My name is Joe Contreras, and today I'm here with Miguel Morales, who is also a sophomore at Vanguard University. We are both passionate about the topics of leadership and theology, and today we're going to be talking about the heart of a leader. Let's take a drink. What does the heart of a leader look like?
Somebody who puts others before themselves, and somebody who puts their team's motives and their team's efforts before theirs, and successes before theirs.
It's oftentimes as a leader, I know when I first realized that I had leadership potential, I would often find myself doing stuff out of manipulation, trying to do stuff out of my own agenda instead of really focusing on the people that I'm serving. Mm-hmm. And a servant leader or a leader should not be focused on themselves, but rather the people that they're leading. Some characteristics, I would say, of a heart of a leader is integrity and honesty.
Yeah.
Just staying true to who you are, having values as a person, and having integrity, staying true to the values that you have as a person. Do you feel like this generation is like moving away from having values?
I would definitely say that people do not prioritize values as much as before, because I believe before it would be your word is your bond. And I believe now that's more of just a phrase and not really a truth. I remember before there'd be times in my life where maybe my grandpa or my dad would say something, and even if he'd have to bite his tongue on it if it wouldn't be convenient to him, even though he said it and he told somebody he would do it, he would still do it even if it wasn't like beneficial for him or it would be tough on him. But that was his word. And in that sense, I feel like before people believed or had a greater value of what they meant or what they stood for, and it's become less now.
I feel like for a leader, values are essential to the foundation of your leadership. Because if you don't have values that guide your work or values that you live by, then there is no sense of character or integrity.
I believe you have to have a set of values already put from your parents or maybe just from your leaders, and a lot of the times that is lost when either you don't have a leader or you don't have a parent that has those values or those set values and impose them on you. All my values that I've had are from my parents and from all my leaders from church, and they impose that on me. And that's how I've learned my values, and of course God, He's helped me find those values and stay stronger with those. But a lot of the times it'll be the case where somebody didn't grow up in the church, didn't grow up with two parents, or didn't grow up with parents that were strong in their value. So how could they find theirs? So I believe it all starts with leadership and somebody helping people find their values before they could even find theirs.
Values are instilled in us as we grow up and we learn what's right and what's wrong and who we are. Like when we find our identity, we kind of get this sense of values. Another part of like a heart of a leader is humility. Being able to do the small things that make a big difference, and also being able to serve when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
I feel as a leader, it's difficult sometimes to be able to do things that are unseen, because sometimes we want recognition for the things that we do behind the scenes. They don't have to be seen. Everything they do doesn't have to be seen or known.
Yeah.
I know in high school I was in ASB, and a lot of the times after our rallies, other leaders would leave, and I would decide to stay behind and do stuff that technically I'm not supposed to do, or like it's not my responsibility or my job. So it's like going that extra mile, especially when nobody's looking. I feel like humility is essential to a heart of a leader.
I believe that's shown a lot in just Jesus' ministry. I believe it's so easy to think that maybe Jesus could have came. He was already a leader. He could have came and did the opposite. He could have just, set his priorities and set how God brought him and used him to save us. But at the same time, he used humility through that, and he served before people serving him. He washed the disciples' feet. He did things that people thought would be crazy because at the time, but everyone thought were like egocentric. And I believe like we are also living in that time where, and like humanity in general lives egocentric. We all have like our own. It's what's beneficial for us and not really what's beneficial for the community. And I feel like that's just not just us, but it's just a thing in society, and it's kind of hard to break that.
Another component to a heart of a leader is compassion. You have to be able to sympathize or empathize with people. You have to have a heart for people in order to lead effectively. Compassion enables you to step down from what you think you are, or as good as you think you are. Step down from that and serve because of compassion that you have towards people.
You definitely have to have compassion for those that maybe aren't in the same position as you or people under you. Especially as a leader, it's really easy to be prideful and to believe like I'm in this position, I'm in higher priority, I'm in a pedestal, so it's easier for me to just look down on you. But we have to, with compassion in leadership, it's a very vital, because you have to not look down on people, but look at them as an equal, and to see them more of how can we work together to contribute and help and set our goal. And a lot of times we lose either compassion or we lose humility, and a lot of times we don't even see that we'll lose it, because we'll be working. We don't have people that tell us we're doing wrong when we're in this higher priority, is what I'm saying. And it's kind of hard to find when you're losing humility and when you're losing compassion, because a lot of times you're in higher priority, so people don't want to tell you like, well, you're doing this wrong, or because they see you as a high priority. And a lot of times we don't want to talk like down to people higher than us because they're quote unquote higher than us. But a lot of times we need that humility, and that just to like know that you're not perfect, and that you could work on yourself, and you could just be a better person and not be prideful, and not take that to offense, but take it as more of growth.
How do you know if your heart is in the right place? Or like, how do you know that you do not at this time, at this moment, exhibit a heart of a leader? I feel like one of the key components is when you begin to be selfish, when you begin to do things out of yourself, like out of manipulation and out of selfish intent. When you only serve to be in the limelight, or when you only serve when people are watching after an event, are you going to be the one helping to clean up, or are you going to be the one that takes off with your friends? Are you going to be willing to be there when nobody is watching?
Having all these and finding yourself stuck in this when you don't see it is very hard. But a good way to find when you're not in the right, or you've lost your humility and you're prideful, and you're not compassionate and you're not in the right path of having the right heart as a leader, you'll notice that you'll have everything you do is for your own gain and how you could be looked up upon and how you could be praised basically. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when you want to be praised, you want all the attention to you and all the the awards and accolades brought to you, and you don't really want to do that extra mile where people aren't looking, and that extra push and the small things that you do. And it's very important as a leader just to do the small things and to lead by example, because as a leader you have to set the tone to the rest. So if you're slacking off, then as a leader everybody down is going to do the same as you. You have to set the bar of what you want the rest of the people you're working under to do, because a team is only as big as their leader. And we look at like Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit, they're all big leaders, and if they were not humble, not compassionate, then how would we be compassionate and how would we be humble if even our leaders aren't? You know?
Oftentimes we can get complacent, or we can get to the place where we don't want to serve unless there is a crowd, which is a dangerous place to be. And when that happens, the question is, how do you adjust your heart to be like a heart of a leader when you lose your step?
I'd say finding why you became a leader in the first place.
Yeah, that's good.
A lot of times we lose track of why we even did this, or why we even, why did we become a pastor? Why did we become a youth leader? Why did we become just a leader in our school, a leader in our church? Why did we do this? Or a leader in our business? A lot of times that gets lost, and I feel like when you're in this position of you don't really remember why you did it, and you're more just looking for it as your benefit and as your selfish gain. You have to just remember who brought you here and how you got here, and just remember that what you did this for, and it should be you did this for to help others, or you found a need, and you try to benefit it with your knowledge.
Yeah, that's good. So if you feel like your heart is starting to not look so much like a heart of a leader, like Miguel is saying, revisit your purpose, because your purpose will reignite your first passion, or the reason why you first started off wanting to be a leader and wanting to make a difference in your environment and your society and wherever you're serving and whatever capacity you're serving. I feel like there are some things that reveal your heart as a leader. The first thing is your intentions. Is it about you, or is it about the people that you are leading, that you are serving? There is an importance to knowing what's your intentions. What is your purpose behind what you are doing? Your intentions will show you and reveal to you where your heart is as a leader. The second thing is the language you use. So if you say it's all about me, or it's about us, or me versus we, or mine versus ours. So when you use a word that encompasses everyone, it's less, or it's more about the people that you're serving than it is you. I see a lot of leaders, or a lot of people say me, mine. When we can get out of the idea of it's me or it's mine, then we could step into a real heart of what a leader is and what a leader is meant to do. So those are two main things that I feel like reveal our heart as a leader: our intentions and the language that we use.
Finding like you've already stated, humility, compassion, and just doing it for the right motives. That will guide your heart. And a lot of times just doing like self reevaluations, just to be sure that you're doing it for the gain of the mass and the gain of, or for the people that need it, and not just for yourself. So a lot of times we get confused and we turn that around. It's more, how can people help us in these leader positions? How can people help us? And more of less of how we can help them.
Yeah.
And it's just having that knowledge to be like, to know that you're in the wrong or that you need improvement in this shows a lot of growth. Especially as a leader, just shows a lot of growth that you're maturing and you're not perfect, but seeing that you're not perfect and trying to fix that shows a lot of growth and shows a lot of leadership attributes that are really good.
So each month we plan to have a week or a monthly podcast. I'll have a different guest each month, or it'll be just me, just talking about different topics within leadership and theology. This question for this month is from Sebastian in Santa Ana, California. His question is, how can one improve as a leader, focusing on life, health, friendships, and God?
Serving first is a big way to show that you're a leader that sets those above instead of sets you above them. It's just showing that you're able to serve first, and it's not more of a me, and like that, using language of I, like Joe saying I, and how can I do this, and if it's more of a community and saying how can we do this, how can we work together to accomplish this, and just being there for the times that you don't need to be there. Being there to, help out when it's only everybody's gone and nobody's there except maybe you and two others, and there's things to be done, but no one really wants to do it. And just showing that when you do that, you show that it's not just for the glitz and glamour, and it's more for just doing it for the people, doing it for Christ, and doing it for the people who need it.
Absolutely. And I feel like another component is to never be complacent in what you're doing right. There's always room for improvement. There's always ways to do things better and more effectively. So as a leader in all aspects of your life, don't be complacent with what you're doing. Always look for new things to do. In the areas of life, health, friendships, and God, I feel like goals would be an amazing thing to help guide you into improving. When you set goals, you can achieve them. And then you can set more goals and more goals and more goals. And as that, you'll begin to improve as a leader. The main thing is to never become complacent in the areas that you are already good at, or the areas that you are winning at. Any last thoughts, Miguel, on the idea of the heart of a leader?
I like what you said about how you can say that you're a good leader. You could say that you're doing things with the right intentions, with the right heart. But in the end, I feel what you're doing and your actions say a lot. Because you could be saying one thing, and then your actions are saying a whole another story. So in finding a leader, and finding if a leader that you're under also, if he's doing it for the right intentions, look at his actions instead of what he's saying. And if his actions equal what he's saying, then he's in the right. But if they don't add up, then I'd make sure that you tell your leader, or as a leader, you'd realize that you're not in the right. If you're saying this, and then the next day you're doing the other. So I think that's a big thing, to make sure that your actions add up with your intentions.
Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of Leadership and Theology with a Cup of Joe. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at ltwithacupofjoe@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at ltwithacupofjoe Don't forget to like and subscribe, rate us, and review us. Give us a review. Let us know how we did, and let us know in ways that we can improve. Because a real leader always looks for ways to improve, and they never become complacent in what they do right. But always remember, even the little things make a difference.